Okay, we're live, and I hope you guys are all doing well. First of all, I'd like to thank all of you for making it and being a part of this conversation. Let me just introduce to the event first for the audience. Hello, everyone. My name is Sai Sandesh Malcolm, and I am a community and an events manager here at Tezos India. This panel discussion is a part of SheCrypt campaign. And if you've already been a part of SheCrypt campaign, amazing. Thank you so much for being a part. And this panel discussion is going to be even more interesting. Let me tell you a little something about SheCrypt. Now, SheCrypt is a Tezos India initiative aimed to increase awareness about the women in crypto, their achievements, opportunities for women and men. Blockchain has already improved business operations in many sectors, and SheCrypt believes women and men are going to drive this innovation forward. And supporting that, we have three amazing NFT artists, very experienced, brilliant artists, love their work. You should check it out. We have Mumu, who is an artist and a poet from Malaysia. We have LakarUmbi, who is a digital artist from Malaysia. And we have Calvin Thoo, who is a mixed media artist and who is a mixed media artist from South Africa. So thank you so much to all of you for joining in. And I'm really excited to be a part of this conversation. And can we begin by, can you guys introduce yourselves?
Yeah. You want to start? Should I start?
Sure, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Mumu the Stan. You can also call me Moon. I'm a digital artist and poet. I make pixel art, and I've been making NFTs for 1 year now. And yeah, I'm from Malaysia. Yeah.
Thank you, Mumu. Thank you so much for joining us.
Okay, can I continue? Hi, I'm LakarUmbi. I'm also from Malaysia. I'm actually a musician, and then I turned to illustrating and started minting around June last year. And I have been minting on predominantly Tezos platform since June last year. So happy to be in this conversation.
Thank you so much, Laka. It's great to have you here. Calvin.
Hi, everyone. My name is Calvin, and as I mentioned before, I'm from South Africa, but currently living in Australia. I'm a mixed media artist, and I've basically been in the NFT game for about 6 months now, so I'm a little bit more, I'm less experienced than the other two ladies in here, but yeah.
I'm sorry I introduced as mixed martial artist, Calvin. I don't know.
No, that's all good. I might even just have those skills in my back pocket somewhere. So.
I am so sure. All right, guys. I've been waiting to have this conversation with you because my wife is an artist. She's been waiting to get into this NFT space, and she's joining in. So I'm very, very interested to know what your thoughts are on. So let's begin. Now, with all the craze that's around NFTs, how overwhelming was it for you when you entered the NFT space? We'll go one by one. Maybe Mumu can start first.
How overwhelming was it? Let's see. I started in February 2021. So this was right before the explosion of Beeple's $69 million sale and everything. So it was just like on the cusp of it. And so when I first minted my NFT, it was just like, just trying something new and just experimenting. And I think 1 or 2 weeks later, it was just like madness. The explosion was just crazy. And I think it was pretty overwhelming because suddenly everyone's talking about it, and there's a lot of things that I still didn't know when I first got into NFTs, and especially when I started looking into because I started on Ethereum, and then I started looking into there were people like, hey, don't you know that the NFTs are harming the environment and everything? And I was like, what? And I started looking into it, and that's when I did like a deep dive, and I was like not sleeping for like 2 weeks, just researching really intensely in about clear NFTs, and different like between like proof of work blockchains and proof of stake blockchains. So yeah, this was like intense 2 weeks without like minting anything. It was just research, 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 not sleeping. So yeah, that part was pretty overwhelming. And I think because when I started, everyone was also kind of new, like especially on Tezos. When I started on Tezos in March, everything was new. Everyone was new into NFTs at that time, because it was just like the first time that you can mint NFTs on Tezos March last year. So I think it was overwhelming, but like in a exciting sort of way after I digested like the basics of it. Yeah.
Wow, yeah, you're so right. Everybody was really overwhelmed, and I think research was really key. So, Lakar, share your experience, please.
Yeah, definitely. And so because of people like Mumu, who has done her research and went from POW to POS, Mumu is one of the people who founded Malaysia NFT. We have like a community here, which is Malaysia NFT, and there are several other communities. And these communities were the one that helped me getting on board on Tezos, minting on Tezos. And so because they have been through that very overwhelming phase, I did not have to feel that overwhelmed, because they've done their research. And so if I have any questions, I can just ask them. And they also provided me with my starting minting fee. So I get to mint several artworks from their fund. And so for that, it wasn't as hard for me, I think. And also because when I joined in, it was in June. It was really during the boom of NFT. Everyone was minting, everyone was curious. And so during that time, there's a lot of information online as well. So I can just search my questions, or I can just people like Mumu or other people in the community. So for me, I think the overwhelming part is just about making connection with new circle and new community. But other than that, the onboarding process, the first minting process, it was relatively easy for myself.
Wow. Yeah, that's great to know about the NFT community, and that's great stuff. That's amazing.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Calvin.
Okay, so I can really relate to what Lakar and Mumu have just said, but for me personally, I think my first mint was on OpenSea about end of August, September, somewhere around there last year. And I didn't know what I was doing. So I didn't do any research prior to minting, but I ended up minting a whole collection on OpenSea, and I only then did the research afterwards. But I think for me as well, it was really challenging, because you basically just one individual entering sort of a universe with millions of other users, and like Lakar and Mumu have mentioned before, like massive communities in the space. And it can become very overwhelming from that sense on which communities to join or who to speak to. There's a correct way, or maybe not the correct way, but there's certain ways to connect with certain people. And it can be as simple as just following someone on Twitter and DMing them pretty much, or in a Discord channel. So for me, it was purely just the connection that was really a challenge. And that for me was quite overwhelming.
That's amazing. I think everybody has the same problem, because NFT was so new. But I'm glad that all of you found your community, and all of you found your people who could guide you.
I think,
Now, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I think like LakarUmbi said, like the first few people are coming in like really almost blind, like because the information is like scattered everywhere,
Yeah.
right? And so the early people kind of like collect those information and like have it like at the tips of their fingertips. And then now when like newer people come in, it's like a bit more like organized in a way, like here is what you need to do, and then here is what you need to watch out for, and these are the steps, and this is the difference between proof of stake and proof of work, because everything is like people have like compiled the information and organized them. And I think it did kind of like make things easier for people to kind of like get on board. And like we had the minting fund to onboard new people onto Tezos and into NFTs. And from there, we kind of like taught, for example, if we taught like 10 people, and then those 10 people can now teach like other 10 people. So now it's like, not only is it easier for other people, but it's also easier for those people who were in the beginning, so they don't have to like teach everyone now, like, because there's more people who know stuff. So yeah.
No, absolutely. I think the information is everywhere, but but whatever that you guys have been doing, kudos to that. So great stuff on that. Now we all know the potential here, and like Mumu mentioned, people made NFTs known to the entire world because of that massive Metacoven purchase. Now, where do we see this NFT industry in the next 5 years? The marketplaces, the industry, because everything is growing at 100x right now. So, but where do you see it in the next 5 years? I think, Lakar, you could start.
Okay, thank you. I think in the next 5 years, I kind of hope to see all these marketplaces being multi-chain marketplace, and so we don't really have to pick and choose communities. As for now, there's Solana community, there's Tezos community, there's Ethereum communities. It would be really great if all these marketplaces started to, I don't know, not merge, but just embarking on a being a multi-chain platform, so it's easier for people to ask things, to find their circle, because it's an even bigger circle, and also maybe for the blockchain technology to be more accessible to people, and it can be used as a, I don't know, maybe a legally binding contract for normal life stuff, and not just for NFT things. So yeah,
that's awesome. That is actually true. You I think more and more marketplaces will become that, because they would want everybody to be hosted everywhere. So maybe Amazon will come in very soon. You never know. Calvin, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think definitely Lakar's predictions are correct, because I also think NFTs will basically be used as a way of portraying your own identity in community and how you perceive other people in both real life and virtual, in a virtual sense. So I think that basically it can lead to also the importance of the metaverse as well, and things like ownership or branding, marketing. I think it's really going to immerse itself fully with basically any aspects of our lives. So I think it's really interchangeable and adaptable. So, hoping, yeah.
No, thanks, Calvin. Mumu, what are your thoughts?
For me, I think in the next 5 years, obviously we can't tell the future, we're only predicting it. I think for NFTs, there would be even more like wider adoption. Like right now, you can see with the mainstream public, there's some pushback, and people are like pushing against it, but because it's mostly because they don't quite understand it. I think it will just become like any other medium. It will become much more normalized. And definitely, like right now, we first saw the boom of NFTs with like art. Now it's getting into like more like utility stuff, and then obviously there's going to be like collectible, and then there's like sports stuff. So I think it's just going to be another medium which you can certify things right onto the blockchain. And I do think that like there should be like more multi-chain marketplaces, and like things should be much more multi-chain. I think Rarible is doing something like that right now with integrating Tezos and Flow. I think that in the future, people would, what I hope is people would truly understand more like the purposes of NFTs and blockchain and like, decentralization. And because of that, they would try to move away from things that are too centralized. Obviously, you want to have balance, right? Between like decentralized and centralized. But I think once people like know like the point of it and like know the power that they get from it, I hope that people would continue to fight for their rights and their voices in decentralization, and not like just handing over to another multi-billion corporation, and
True.
the whole thing just starts all over again, just like the mess that we're in now with Web2. But yeah,
That is true. That is
those are my
true.
thoughts.
That puts Amazon out of business then.
I mean, they would get on it, but like I want people to be more aware of like their choices. Yeah.
That's true. And you guys, all of you are wonderful artists, and whoever is watching, if you haven't checked out their art yet, you should. There is so much that you're speaking through your art, but I want to know who inspired you, like, and what art of theirs inspired you to get into this. Like, everybody's got an inspiration, right? I want to know yours. So, Calvin.
Okay, so for me, my first point of inspiration actually came from my studies, so I basically completed my master's in architecture, and I learned a lot about really famous architects and sort of the processes they took towards achieving a project from concept to finish. And for me, it's a little bit of that technical side of architecture, but also there's been a close mentor of mine actually that I look up to, who's her Twitter handle is actually Johanna Bird. So she's a NFT artist from Sydney, and she's currently made the move over to LA in America. So I wish her all of the best, but she's basically been mentoring me and giving me tips, and she's been really inspirational with regards to her story and her stance, especially, she's a woman as well. So her perspective has been very interesting within the space as well. So yeah, it's the one person I would say I'd look up to.
Thanks, Calvin. That's great. Mumu.
I would say my inspiration right now in the space is my peers. I wouldn't just like name one like a famous or influential person right now, because I think the people who I interact with daily and the people who I like collect their art and interact with and collaborate with, they're the most inspirational people that I've ever met, like because they're also in different situations. For example, they're not made of money, they're not famous, but they're really working hard, they're putting out amazing work, and they're innovating, they're creating new things that I've never seen before. And so these people that I collect from, and that these artists that I interact with every day, the artists, the developers, everyone within the space that I meet with every day and I interact with, I can't say enough good words about them. Yeah, it's truly inspirational to see the kind of productivity, the kind of creativity that comes out of a place where someone doesn't have to feel like they need to follow a client, or like they need to sell to only like a certain audience, where they're just truly expressing themselves. That boundless creativity that comes with being able to express yourself and be compensated for it and be able to support yourself. Those people, like all the artists and developers that I meet with, yeah, they're so inspiring.
No, that's great. Lakar.
Yes, I would like to echo to what Mumu just said, because 100% true. Everyone has been so amazing. Everyone is updating their progress, their work in progress on Twitter. And so it's very hard for me to choose just one person in terms of NFT artists. But before I started minting, there's several illustrators that I kind of look up to their illustrations. I have some artists from the 60s, the 70s, because I really love art deco. And so I take a lot of inspiration from that style. And so it kind of just became the basis of what I do, because I like how they play with some sort of eeriness, but still very playful, very dark illustration, but very not very somber. It's still very meaningful to me. And so those are the kind of things that I take inspiration from. Yeah.
Wow, that's nice. That's very good, and it shows, guys. Like your art really shows that you're inspired. So that's kudos to you. Now, the most simplest question, but the most searched for on the internet: where should an artist start if they want to mint their own NFT? So, Lakar, I'm sorry,
Me?
Mumu, yeah,
Mumu,
Mumu,
okay.
yeah.
Where should an artist start? First of all, you should get a wallet. Yeah, you should get a wallet. If you're on Tezos, you use Temple Wallet or Kukai. Those are some of the more popular ones. And join a Discord, find the community. And if you have any questions, you can just ask in the Discord, whether it's object.com Discord or versum.xyz Discord or Teyada Arts Discord. And from there, it's just like interact with people. And if you're nervous about minting your first NFT, just know that like everyone here is learning. So yeah, you will have like many chances to kind of improve, and it's especially great to see the progression. So, you know, just have fun with it. Yeah, that's the main thing. The main thing is to have fun. And I would say to watch out for scams. If someone like if there are people who are DMing you, they're like, oh, my daughter loves art, can I commission you? And then they send you like a suspicious looking link. Yeah, don't download that.
Oh,
But yeah, for like the basic rule is you should get a Twitter, because that's where lots of people interact. Discord as well. Get a wallet. If you want to mint, there are some communities that give minting funds if it's hard to get Tezos in your area. So you can actually find those communities that have the minting funds. If not, the good thing is that minting on Tezos is really affordable. And then from there, you can log on to either object.com or Versum or Teya. I choose Teya to mint. And yeah, if you have any questions, just ask people on Discord. A lot of people would be happy to help.
That's great. That's great. That's for sure. Lakar and Calvin, do you guys have anything to add?
No, I don't really have nothing to add. Sorry, Calvin, would you like to go?
Okay, so I think also like the one thing I would mention is just, you know, in terms of the NFT marketplace that you use, I found it really helpful to actually check those out first as well, to see what type of art is, you know, on there, and, you know, deciding whether or not maybe your art has a place within that community. But at the same time, I mean, you know, you can be rebellious and, you know, mint something that you think is totally different to the NFT marketplace, and you might just, you know, receive a good acceptance within that space. So it's really about the risk, I think, also that you take.
That is so true. I think risk factor and information is something that the artists who are starting now and need to keep a close eye on. And I think Mumu made a really good point. There are a lot of scams. So we need to be very, very careful whom we're giving what information or what we're taking in. So thank you so much for mentioning that, Calvin and Mumu. Lakar, what is the one thing that you are looking for in an NFT? Like if you've been an artist now, if you want to buy something, what is that one thing that inspires you to buy?
I buy works that I like. If I buy something, I don't really look for reselling values. And so if I see an artwork that I really like, then I would purchase them. I don't really care about utilities. I don't really care about the fame of the artist. If it's a good artwork, then it's a good artwork. And so I think it's quite a good practice for me as well, because when I buy something with that kind of mindset, even if I don't manage to resell them, at least I get an artwork that I like. So that it's always a win-win. I get to support an artist that's very talented, and I get an artwork that I really like. And so there's not a lot of criterias other than I like it, so I buy it.
That's nice. Bubu, what about you?
For me, it's similar to Lakar. I buy stuff that resonates with me, whether it makes me laugh or it touches my soul in a way, or I just like the way it looks. But there is something that I do look out for, especially when maybe the artist is new, because I do love buying from artists who are newer artists or like undiscovered. I do have to check things because you don't want to buy like a fake or like a copy mint. So when I do that, either I do like a reverse image search, or I look at their account, and I look at their wallet, and I see like, when it was created, when was their account created, and stuff like that, just to do my own due diligence. And so far, it's been good. I have never bought any copy minted artwork, and I've bought from like over 400 artists, and it ranges from people with 20 followers to 20,000 followers. So there's like a wide range.
That's amazing. That's great to support the new artists, right? It's always like that. Calvin, what about you?
Yeah, I think I'm the same. With regards to something, I like to purchase something I really like. I've really recently been into sort of portraiture and abstract portraiture. So I've really been looking at new artists and some previously, long-standing artists as well. But, for me, it's also about affordability. So, if there's something that's maybe too expensive, just work towards, saving up for that particular NFT. But, at the same time, for me, it's all about, like Mumu said, it's just how does that artwork resonate with you? And if you connect with that artwork, at whatever level, whether it's spiritually or visually or physically, then, you should definitely make the means to purchase something like that. So, yeah.
That's so true. That is so true. Thank you so much for sharing. The next question is for Calvin. The metaverse and the NFTs will be going hand in hand very soon. It's already happening. There's so many NFT games. The metaverse is just booming out of control. It's spinning out of control every day. Now, how will the metaverse change the NFT industry? As you are the artist, right?
Yeah.
How do you think tomorrow morning metaverse is going to change your perspective?
Well, I think, the metaverse and NFTs and sort of blockchain technology go hand in hand. And I think, they're all integrated in such a way that they're all changing sort of every day. It might be different tomorrow, might be different 2 days from now. But I think it's important as artists to stay up to date with certain advancements within the NFT game and the metaverse, because the metaverse opens a lot of doors from the utility side of NFTs. And, I read an article last week that, basically the metaverse opens doors for NFTs within the virtual or the virtual space or virtual real life, so to speak, so that basically, you can even like purchase event tickets through the metaverse or purchase fan club memberships so, I think it's important to stay true to your identity and or reflect on how your own identity sort of reflects with how the metaverse moves and how the NFT space will eventually move. So I think that's important as an artist, is to stay true to who you are, and no matter what changes in the space, you'll always be able to be adaptable from that sense.
That's amazing. That's so true. Now, Mumu, I have the same question for you, but I want to ask you about gaming and NFTs, because metaverse is not everything about games. Metaverse is totally a different universe, which I don't get it at all still. So what about gaming? What do you think gaming is going to change the way NFTs are being conceived right
now? I think it's very much still in its infancy, right? And I think there are games that don't have anything to do with NFTs that kind of like could utilize NFTs, that like the concept, it would work for them, kind of like Genshin Impact, right? You see, like they have to like buy these like gems and whatever. I don't play, so sorry if I get the terminology wrong. Like there are people who are selling their Genshin accounts because they reached a certain level, right? But those things, they're not like verifiable on the blockchain. So you could really get scammed there, right? So those are games that could use like the blockchain technology, right? And then there are games right now that utilize NFTs that are like really, really basic. It's just like it's just like a very simple game, and then the NFT is only the profile picture is just like the avatar, for example, and like that person bought it for I don't know how much, right? So right now I think there is a bit of a separation. I think that could be more unified. Like the problem right now is like there's a very intense backlash within the gaming community with NFTs, and then there's NFTs, people in NFTs who are excited about gaming, but maybe don't necessarily have all the know-how. And I think there just needs to be like more communication, and I think there's a lot of potential there. But yeah, there's just like, there still needs some time to be like all those things to be like cooked. But you can see like just brewing underneath the surface, like some really promising stuff happening, like, with like Tezotopia, and stuff like that. So I think it's really promising. I can't wait to see what happens. But yeah, there's much more potential that is still untouched, I think.
That's absolutely true. I don't think so. We've even scratched the surface about everything. So that's great. Look, I have a different question for you. Now, everybody has this question on their mind. I have it every day when I go through marketplaces. What is the actual value of an NFT? And it's you said already you don't care about the utility, but what do you think the utility also is? How can somebody like me, how can I judge it?
I think the value of an NFT is actually what the creator or the artist decides, because after all, they are the one who put in the work. Maybe there are some factors that might affect so-called value of an NFT, maybe the fame of the creator or the experience and things like that. But in the end, the value of an NFT in the primary marketplace, which is the price from the creator, is what the creator decides. When it comes to utility, it's very hard for me to talk about the value of utility. But in the end, it's a non-fungible token. So to put an actual value to a vast types of NFT is kind of counterintuitive, because we cannot really say a certain thing is worth a certain thing, and to say that everything is in the same price, so I think the benchmark is really what's on the marketplace as the primary price from the creator, and then maybe the price will increase over time, but that depends on the consistency. Maybe the value of the NFT also evolves over time, so maybe it increases over time, maybe it decreases, so it depends on who the creator is, which NFT you decided to buy.
That's great. I actually do understand that the value comes from the creator itself, because only they know the effort that's going in, and the people who buy it are actually buying the effort more, and the NFT and the art as well. But Mumu, I want to ask you the same question, because you have like a bunch of NFTs that you mentioned. What about utility side of things? Like, are you still, or all the NFTs that you've bought only for the love of the art, or have you gotten something for utility as well?
I think I'm like I get called an art maxi sometimes, because I'm like, it's all about the art, no utility. So I think I'm like the wrong person to ask that, but there's nothing wrong with utility, like if people want that, but I think it's wrong to kind of like expect that all the time, or like demand it from artists, or force it onto people, like force it onto the creators, be like, hey, where's the utility? I think it's brilliant when NFTs have utility, if that's what they're going for. Speaking of that, I think I have a few. There's Atelier 09, in which you get derivative rights. And then, I think that's it. I think there's like, utility can be a few different things, right? I think like the interactive NFTs, for example, that I bought on Hikenang, the utility is like interacting with it, like, like the little games, or like the boards that you get to play, like little musical things on it. That's a utility, it's used. But also utility can be just, my emotional response to it is how I look at things.
That's true.
But like I said, like utility is not like a right or wrong. It's just, you shouldn't, like, collectors shouldn't demand it from artists.
That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. Thank you so much for actually making that very clear. Now, Calvin, I want to talk to you about a different aspect of the NFT and the collection and everything, and that is ROI. Right? Now, most of the people are buying it, and at the end of the day, art, some 50% of them love it for the art, collect it, like Lakar and Mumu, and there are other people, okay, I'm going to say me, who collect an NFT thinking that maybe I can flip it for something great, right? And it's not wrong, but that's how it's all divided. So what do you think? Like, most for the people who love the art, we've discussed, but what about the people who want to invest for the ROI?
So I think for people who are just in it for flipping NFTs, I think, you need to find value in things like roadmaps for certain NFTs. So whether or not that utility comes with a particular roadmap that you resonate with. So, I've heard stories of a lot of people who have just bought sort of NFTs and expected to flip it for thousands of dollars, and then it ends up being worth nothing. And that's where I think it's really important to basically join a community of a certain artist or group of artists that have created a collection of NFTs, so you can stay engaged with those artists and see if, that sort of NFT is really for you, or if you really do find value within the community and the art and the roadmap and other giveaways they might be doing. It becomes complex from that point of view. It's just because sometimes those NFT collections have a lot of other aspects that you really need to dive into to really understand the value of that particular collection or NFT. So I think from that perspective, yeah, like if you're gonna flip NFTs, by all means, but it's just be careful and really do your research, or get involved with their community. I would say is the biggest thing, and see if you really have a place in that community. So
Yeah, that's true. I should make a note of that very soon.
Doing your own research is very important.
Yeah.
So like I see some people like just like FOMOing into stuff because of hype, when those hype can be like manufactured. And although like, yes, roadmaps, you want to look at the roadmaps and stuff like that, but you also got to look at like the art and the team. Who are the people behind this? Are they trustworthy? What about the artist? Is the art original? Is the art like a ripoff, or is it actually like aesthetically pleasing? And those roadmaps, obviously, people can just make promises. They don't necessarily have to deliver, right? So I would say the roadmaps are neat, but try not to get too blinded. I think when doing your own research, especially like if the team just came out of nowhere, you've never heard of them before, the people involved, you've never heard of them before, the roadmap looks too good to be true, everything looks too good to be true, the art is like not a lot has been shown, those things can seem kind of fishy. So try not to FOMO into those, and like you're putting a lot of money into something that you're not sure of. I think the great thing that we've seen on Tezos is a lot of like these projects, even the ones with like roadmaps or like utility and stuff like that, the people started doing other stuff first, like making their art or developing other things, and then developing that trust with the community. And then once that trust is there, then they made their project. So when they made their project, it's obviously much more like trustworthy, that that they can deliver. Whereas if it's like a team out of nowhere, it's a bit of a riskier thing that you're putting your money into. So those are the things, I guess, if people are in it for like those kind of things, that's the kind of thing I think you should look into.
That makes sense. Makes sense. Lakar, I'm not going to ask you because I know you're not going to be interested in talking about ROI. So what I'm going to ask you is, for centuries, people have been collecting tangible art. Okay, there are sculptures, there are paintings on the wall and everything. People go mad about it, paid crazy amount of money. Now the craze, is it going to be the same for digital asset? Is it going to be the same? Because there are few things that, digital asset cannot give that the tangible art can give, the sense of ownership, because you can feel it. You can say, this is what I have. But yes, there are a lot of discrepancies there as well. So you tell me, will the craze be the same for a digital asset?
It can be, because digital art can also give something that tangible art cannot give. For instance, if you're a digital artist who make GIFs or videos or films, movies, there's no way to sell that kinds of artworks before this, other than having commissions, or if you make films, then maybe a DVD or CD, things like that. And so it opens up new possibilities for new kinds of artists. But also in terms of tangible art, I think in this day and age, there's a lot of people who move from place to places, who lives as a digital nomad. And so myself included. And so if I were to purchase like tangible artworks, I have big pieces of artworks. I don't really have a place where I will stay for a very long period of time. So storing and moving things can be very, very difficult for me. And so even for books, I read ebooks, and I cannot see why it cannot be the same for arts as well. So I myself would prefer to buy a digital art.
That is true. That is absolutely true. Mumu, Calvin, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think, Lakar is onto something there, because even if you look at traditional tangible art, it's almost like, if we are all starting artists, first of all, it's really hard to get into that space, into gallery spaces, or sometimes it can be seen to be associated with the elite tangible art. And I think digital art, provides an opportunity for people at all levels to enter the space. And even if it's just because you're passionate about doing art and you can connect with 2 people or 3 people or even one other person, for me, there's more value in that. And that can be sometimes more attention grabbing than something that's tangible. So I think it's really, the future for digital assets, I think, is very promising from that perspective, just because of the empowering aspect, I think, of it.
I think that's so true. There was a recent interview with someone I completely forgot. They said that now, if there is an artist like right now, Calvin, you get Mumu, and you guys are in different parts of India, different parts of the world. And if I have to buy your tangible art, it would be next to impossible. I have to travel, but I could buy your NFT like this. I think that was the most easiest way somebody sold the entire concept to me. So that's incredible, guys. Thank you so much. Now, to all of you, I want to ask you this question: is NFT a trend, a fad, a fancy way to make money, a scam, a rug pull? I don't know. Can I find some more words? Or is it something that every artist, if they're interested, must learn about? Mumu.
I would say yes.
It's a fad. It's a trend.
I would say yes to all of that. It's that's a controversial thing. It's a fad, it's a trend, but it's also something that all artists should do. It's a rug pull. It's not a rug pull. The thing is, because NFTs are a tool, so all of those things exist within NFTs.
Yeah.
Right. So there are NFTs that are like just hopping on trends, right? There are NFTs that are totally like rug pulls.
Yeah.
There are NFTs that are just like fads, but then there are NFTs that are very valuable. There's been changing artists' lives, that have been supporting artists, being given the ability to quit their job. So yeah, it's everything. It's like it's what you make of it. So yeah, that's my controversial statement for today.
Sure, yeah. Laka, what are your thoughts?
It's what you make of it, right? It's good and bad, anything.
That's actually true. I think you have the best answer for the question already. So, but let me see what Laka is going to come up with. Laka.
Yeah, I actually I wrote my answers beforehand, and
Okay.
I actually wrote the exact same thing as Moon, because it can be all of those. It is a tool, and it's how you use it. How I mean, you can give a really good tool to someone, and if they don't use it in a good way, and then it will be bad. They can smash things up and pull everything out, and so it really depends on how you make use of the tool.
That's actually true. You can give anything good to anybody, and they can just mess it up. I mean, look at Facebook. What happened to it?
Yeah.
Calvin, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's one big storybook, and I think when I first connected with Mumu and Lakar, it made me realize that by looking at other artists' Twitter pages or just their work, it's almost like you getting a piece of their own story, and I think that's so wonderful. It's almost like just this infinite book of stories and people's blog posts, and I know I just find it. There's so much value in everybody's story that it's just it excites me. So yeah, I think it's everlasting.
That is actually true, and I think it has its own ups and downs. So I think it comes back to what you guys have been originally saying: do your own research. Everything, do your own research. Now,
I do have something to say. Like, I think you should people who are like probably thinking about NFTs or like not sure whether they should look into NFTs. I think everyone should learn about NFTs, whether you get into them or not, whether you mint them or collect them or not, that's another story. But you should definitely learn about NFTs and understand it so that if you stumble across it, you know what people are talking about. If someone try to scam you, you know what they're talking about. If you're trying to argue with someone about NFTs, like you're trying to say NFTs are bad or whatever, you don't look stupid with wrong arguments, right? So I think everyone could benefit from learning about NFTs.
That's great. So finally, this was a really fun conversation. So I just want to ask you all one simple thing. What is your top suggestion for new artists who are still finding ways in the Web3 world and for minting NFTs? One suggestion that you would give. We'll start with Calvin.
I think we've mentioned this before. I think it's try and get in touch with a community that you best feel that, caters to you or yourself or your identity and what your outlook on the world is in terms of your art. And, I think find your voice in a community, or I think that's my biggest suggestion or advice.
That's amazing. Lakar.
I'm also a new artist who's still trying to find my way in Web3. And so I think everyone is still learning. So don't be afraid to ask if you're confused about something. A lot of people will be willing to help. You just have to be polite and ask nicely. And there's a lot of people who are willing to help. And of course, do your research. Be aware of what's currently happening. Like recently there's the Google hack or something that you have to update your browser and things like that. You have to stay updated to protect yourself. Other than that, basically just talk and communicate and maybe be part of a community that you feel really comfortable in.
That's great. Thank you so much, Lakar, for that. Mumu.
I would say, like, after all that, like, remember to have fun. When you're doing this, at first it's fun, and then you start to get deeper and deeper, and then it starts to become stressful and stuff like that. Then remember that why you're doing this, and remember to have fun. Like if it starts to become overwhelming or stressful, just take a step back, take a little bit of a break, step away from the computer and Twitter. And this is advice I give myself. And just do some real world stuff and then get back into it, because you don't want to burn yourself out.
Wow, that's great. Okay, so that's the end of the discussion, but we have a few questions from our audience. Fun to see these questions because it's a really, really different one. So Muzid asks, mental health is a consistent issue brought up in the NFT world, affecting both new and more seasoned artists. What are all of your comments on this, and what do you suggest to those affected by FOMO? So I guess, Lakar, you can start.
Oh, okay. When it comes to mental health, it's really tricky to navigate because the pace moves very fast. You see people making sale every day, and sometimes you're not being as lucky, and so it's really easy to compare yourself with people who are more, say, successful than you. And so, like Moon said, take a step back and just let it melt out, and try to compose yourself, because otherwise you'll be stuck in a never-ending loop of can I do this? I cannot do this. So it's really tricky. And when it comes to FOMO, I think it helps that you have some friends that you can talk to. Maybe not even friends that you've met before. I mean, because of NFT, I've made a lot of new friends. I've never met Mumu before, but she's like a great friend to me now. And so it really helps to have these people who you can talk to. If you're FOMO about something, maybe you both can do research together. And so there's two judgments compared to just having your own thoughts. So yeah,
that's true. That is so true. Mumu, your thoughts?
I think it's the same advice as I gave earlier. It's like obviously the fear of missing out, right? Like because the NFT world never sleeps because it's global and it's always on, right? And so you feel like you have to always be on, otherwise you're gonna miss out. I was like that, like the first few months into the NFT space. I was not sleeping because I was like, I need to, and everything's happening on the other side of the world when I'm sleeping, so I have to be awake as well. But it's just not sustainable. After a while, it's gonna catch up to you. So I would say, like, after realizing, like, just put some healthy boundaries for yourself, because it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be something that gives you power, that empowers you. It shouldn't like imprison you instead. So yeah, just know that like you're not gonna miss out on too much. The what happens happens, and you're gonna have other chances. So it's okay. Yeah, I think like FOMO is something that we all deal with sometimes in the NFT space, but I think it comes with like a bit of like time and getting used to, and knowing that it's all gonna be okay. Like you miss one thing happening, there's gonna be other stuff happening, because the NFT space moves so fast. They already forget about that thing like in the space of 1 week. So it's like a new thing is gonna happen. So it's okay.
That is true. That is so strong. Don't let it let it empower you. Do not let it imprison you. That is so powerful. That should be a next NFT move. Calvin, any thoughts on that?
I think it's very similar to what Mumu and Lakar have already said. You know, quite often, like Mumu mentioned before, you get the fear of missing out, or the fear of not selling anything, or the fear that you're not good enough. But, you know, I think it's really important to what Momo suggested before, is to switch off sometimes. You know, go outside, get some sun. The sun is good for you. You know, if you have anything else you like in the real world, like, you know, I personally do yoga in my spare time just to, you know, relax and not think about anything for an hour and a half or whatever it is. And we tend to forget that the NFT space, you know, does incorporate real life people, and, you know, we are human and we do have limitations. And I think we all need to understand that and realize that. And, you know, sometimes communities will put ridiculous demands on a project or demands on an artist. And, you know, sometimes all it takes is just being honest with yourself and honest with your community as well. You know, if you need a break and you need 2 days, you know, people take to the honesty, and I prefer honesty over relatability. So I think that's an important thing.
That's amazing.
If people are being assholes, they are the assholes. So like,
just
you know your rights, and you know.
Yeah.
Wow, strong. That's very strong. Now, that's okay. That's okay. I told you this is going to be a chill conversation. So glad that you guys made it really chilled out. Last question. What book or influencer should one follow or read about if they are starting to become their NFT journey? Any of you could go first.
I'll answer that question. I think there isn't a book that you should read. I think by the time the book gets published, a lot of information is outdated. So I think you would find your information on like reputable websites, and people. Like if you want to learn about Tezos, you go to tezos.com and learn about stuff from like the verified sources. Yeah, and if you want to follow people, I would recommend the people here. I would recommend following virtual crypto art. I would recommend following Art Gnome. He's like a NFT OG. Who else? Art Gnome, vertical crypto art. Yeah, and I can't like who else? Like you can follow I'm sorry. I can't,
No, that's okay. That's okay. I
but
think
those
that's
are the two
that's
that I've got right now from the top of my
that's
head.
great.
Um,
Lakar.
Yeah, actually the same as Moon. I don't really think there's a book. I tried searching, but I don't think I found any. And then a lot of people that I follow based on what those are based on people who talk a lot on Twitter, and so sometimes I don't even know if that's reputable, and so maybe don't take my advice for it. Maybe just follow the ones that Moon said before.
That's great.
I
Calvin.
talk a lot on Twitter too.
Calvin, what about you?
Look, I don't really have anyone in particular that I follow for mentorship or anything like that. But now and again, I'll enter a Twitter space and, just have a listen while I'm cleaning the house or cooking or something, and sometimes most of it is kind of just people just, promoting themselves, but you'll get the odd person that will, give something really insightful. So yeah, if you have, a bit of spare time, maybe just join a space, or if you don't know what space to join, I think there are recommended ones on your Twitter feed, I think that come up. So yeah, again, don't take my advice because you might join a bad space, but sometimes they're really helpful.
That is true. I think information is just abundant out there. I think you just have to filter it, and you have to just go through it, see through it, and just understand what's best for you and everything. But like we discussed already, NFT space is a very, very different thing, and everybody's growing. So thank you so much to all of you for sharing your insights. This was the best 1 hour for me about NFTs. I've learned so much from all of you, and thanks a lot for being a part of this SheCrypt event.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, I hope to have you back very soon, and I hope you guys are definitely going to say yes to that. So let's have you back, and Tezos India wishes you all the very best. To whoever is watching, if you want to mint your own NFT, and if you do not know, you can get in touch with Tezos India. You can just mail us at hello@tezosindia.foundation, and we'll help you out. We will definitely tell you what you need to do, or you can go and join communities on the internet, and they are going to help you as well. And no doubt Tezos got a really vibrant community, and you see that there are 3 artists who have done amazing stuff, and they've been helped by the community as much as they've helped the community. So thanks a lot to all of you who are joining in, and thanks to the lovely artists and the panelists.
Thank you.